Hi, I am Letiane Beninca, PhD candidate and professor at IMED in Passo Fundo, Brazil, where I am a researcher of the Erasmus Plus project called Cap for City. I will introduce the concept of bioclimatic architecture, one of the lectures from the MOOC of Urban Studies and Sustainability. The student can understand the concepts and main strategies. This will allow to describe the factors and variables that influence the design of a building based on climate, identify the principal bioclimatic strategies, and understand the comfort requirements. I would like to begin with a brief introduction of the evolution of the subject. We start in the prehistory, where housing was a form of security against predators and the weather. The vernacular, which uses local materials, as example the indigenous houses, bio-inspired as the work of Antonio Gaudí in Spain. The organic coined by Frank Lloyd Wright in the 20th century began the bioclimatic architecture with the work of OGI brothers. We passed the time of the passive and low energy buildings, and today we are in the era of the green buildings and sustainable architecture. That we see as the future, but is already our present. But what is bioclimatic architecture? As defined by the OGI brothers, the bioclimatic approach is a design that considers three complementary disciplines. First, biology, understanding the requirements for human comfort. Second, the climatology, considering the existing climatic conditions. And at the least, the solution, the sum of architecture and technology. All this insert in a real current context. In the field of biology, we must understand the requirements for human thermal comfort. That is a condition of the mind that expresses satisfaction with the climate variables in the surroundings. It depends on the activity performed and the clothes wearing at the moment. It also varies on age, race, height, sex, and other human factors. And the environmental variables are temperature, relative humidity, and air speed. Knowing the requirements of human thermal comfort, Gibbon established zones that using passive design strategies conditioned the climate can improve human thermal satisfaction. The main strategies are, for summer, cross-ventilation, evaporative cooling, cooling with high thermal mass. In higher temperatures, we must use artificial strategies like air conditioning. For winter, humidification, heat and internal gains with high thermal mass, passive solar heating, and the artificial strategy like a chimney or heating. And finally, we have the comfort zone. In the climatology, using the existing variables and working with the climate. Before starting an architectural project, it is necessary to carry out a detailed survey of the place where it will be built. It is essential to understand the geographical context, thus showing that the movement of the sun is in the north towards the southern hemisphere and the south towards the north hemisphere. Analyze the favorable directions of the winds, where the prevailing winds come from, to optimize the ventilation. Identify the noise level around the future building. Consider the solar trajectory. According to latitude, we can have more or fewer hours of radiation and to find the best positioning of the building on the site. The existing topography and, whenever possible, avoid radical changes. Make use of vegetation and recycle material that exists on the site. Evaluate the average temperature and the humidity of the location to identify which will be the best strategies and for which period. Check the local rainfall regime to be able to correctly design and analyze weather. And finally, to analyze the historical, social, and cultural context of the surroundings where it will be built. For the rational architecture solution, where we have 3 examples to illustrate how it could be. The first is the La Borda building in Spain, designed and executed by La Cola Arquitectura, a building with high energy performance and the first built in Spain with a wooden structure. The entire building was designed with passive strategies, like cross ventilation with an internal patio. The Bosco Verticale in Italy, designed by Boeri Studio, this building is extremely ambitious, bringing a jungle of native vegetation to the balconies of the apartments. This strategy means that the internal temperature in the summer can be 5 degrees Celsius below the external temperature, without the use of air conditioning. During the winter, the vegetation loses its leaves and allows the solar radiation to enter. The third example is a single-family residence, the Clockwork House, designed by IB22 Architects Studio. Located in the south of Brazil, the project tries to potentialize the pre-existing variables such as maintaining vegetation, using the topography, solar orientation, and the prevailing winds to optimize passive architectural strategies, increasing user comfort and reducing energy consumption. I will present 4 strategies used in the design. The cross ventilation for summer, the ceiling opening that opens in summer and closes in winter, large windows to maximize the solar gains in winter and with mobile protection to block the sun in the summer. And the thermal mass in the floor retain the radiation during the winter days.